So to kick this haircut off, I'm going in with a number 2 guard, and that's fully open just to get the desired length for this haircut. When cutting 360 waves, 720s, or any type of wave pattern, or any just regular haircut that wants a nice dark smooth transition, always cutting with the grain and with the pattern of the hair helps you achieve a desired length. Always comb the hair and then stroke the hair with the clippers as well. You always want to thread them loose hairs or hairs that's already cut through the comb first, and then you want to run your guards through. So you cleaning your canvas up as you are cutting it, and you're laying the hair as well. So with that being said, keep everything consistent and the haircut should fall into place. And just all of the strokes have got to be consistent. Sometimes I'm doing long strokes, sometimes I'm doing shorter strokes. When I'm by the crown area, I'm doing shorter strokes. When I'm in like main of the bulk area of the head, then I'm doing longer strokes. So I go in with a number 3 guard, and it's fully open just so I can debulk the back area and prep it for the taper. And I'm using a comb just to keep myself in that specific realm so I don't go too high. And then I go in with my Andis TI liners and I create my first ball line 1 inch from the bottom of the neck. And just keep everything consistent. And I'm setting a ball line right here as well, side of the head, lower temple area. Because my client today will be keeping the C cup shapes, I really wish my client would have gave me the chance to blow this taper out, because I just don't feel like this specific haircut needed C cups. So I go in with a number 2 guard, and that's fully open just so I can debulk more. But back to what I was saying in terms of the C cup for the other side. At times you get a client, no matter if they got waves or not, they got a smaller C cup area. And with that being said, with sharp lining, small C cups do not hit. And with that being said, at times, you consult with them to try to get them to go the ball taper way, meaning you will blow the curves out. But at times when they don't want it, you got to still do it. This is one of those videos right here that they still wanted the curve. So I go in the back and I give myself about 1/2 inch, and I'm fully open with my wall seniors. Now I kind of changed up what I was doing because my lights were a little tinnish yellow, so I went and got the ring light from one of my co-workers. They gave it this white effect. So I started out fully open, and then I closed my clippers, and then I went halfway just so I can blow out this bottom line. And it's just all about consistency. It's all about reps. It's all about combing the hair. It's all about doing what we love to do at that specific time. And we just locked in the game. And that's what's important when it comes to doing things like this for YouTube. So I go in with my 1/16, and that's fully closed, and I'm just nudging at the bottom of the line. Open, and I'm fading right up under that. And then I go in with a 1.5 guard, and that's fully open. And I'm using that comb to keep myself in that same area because we decided that we will fade up into the last wave. That's not something that I'm doing just with this client, but that's just something that I offer to the average waver who don't really know where they want to stop or where they want to go with their taper. And I kind of like to go up to that last wave. At times it can look different, but I'm telling y'all, if y'all do it the right way, like, it's gonna always lay perfect. Just the bottom of the last biggest wave. Keep everything consistent, the more consistent the haircut will look. So then I go on my 1/16 guard, and that's fully open, and I'm just nudging at the bottom of that line. Now I go halfway, and we're fully closed. about working your clippers, the different angles, the specific teeth that you decide to use. As you guys can see, I'm using about 2 teeth on the corner of my actual masters, and I'm not overdoing. I'm not laying my blade flat, and I'm not trying to push my guideline too high. As you guys can see, I'm trying to stay at the bottom of the last big wave, and I'm trying to create a nice transition without it being too rigid. And then I want everything to fall into place for this neckline. So I go in with a 1/8 guard, and that's fully open, and I just get to tampering and playing around with the taper, because I'm basically there, but I have to spot mop because I'm at the bottom of these waves, and you can't just leave it this heavy down here, because if you leave it heavy down here, when the client gets up, people gonna notice like that it's very bulky, and it's just not gonna look faded at all. So you gonna have to work and manipulate hair like this a lot when you want to keep that taper low, but you kind of want to keep it high at the same time. Because my intentions was never to go high with the taper or to stay low with the taper. It was to make the taper very visible. So that's what I did. And I go in here with my wall seniors, and I'm fully open. And then I go halfway, and I go fully close. Open right here on the bottom of the beard, halfway, fully close, and just get the nudging at the line with the corner of the blade. You create the transition by yourself. Your blade never just creates the transition on its own. It's up to you. So you go in with that 1/16 guard, and that's fully closed, and I'm just nudging at the bottom of the line. One thing I can respect about this taper is because the C cups are so short, you don't have to heavily fade this side. And by that, you guys can tell that the fade is more mediocre in terms of the taper right here, but because the C cups will be short, once I line him, you won't even be able to tell. So I really can't wait for you guys to see, just when I get to the lining part, because what I'm starting to notice now, I'm just starting to keep a lot of people like darker on the edge, so it requires less enhancement, and at the same time it's giving me a better chance to draw that lining out, because the hairs aren't as low. Like, even if the hairs are low, you can draw the lining out, but it's just always better when the canvas or the hair is darker, because you can visually see that lining come together. I just repeated the same steps that I did from the other side over here. So I went open, and then I knocked that open line out. Then I go on my 1/16 guard, and I just nudge it towards the end. And I'm not gonna go with no higher guard than this. I'm just keeping everything real consistent, and I'm using the side teeth to make sure that I create that transition of the taper or of the fade. December 9th, Education with Purpose. My boy Chris Bossio, Josh O.P., and Tyreek Jackson, man, that's gonna be crazy. I can't wait to see that. So I go on my wall seniors, and I'm fully closed, and I just coast the waves. This is the most important thing to anybody. If y'all ever want to go to Waves Paradise, you gotta surf waves. Like, I don't care what nobody say, this is mandatory with wave cuts. If you're not doing this in a wave cut, then I don't understand why you're doing a wave cut. Because nobody wants to get their waves cut down and not the hair trim. That's what the wavers have a hard time with, that hair laying. You want that hair to lay automatically on its own, so when they put a do-rag on, it's 10 times better. So I go in with this neckline on with my wall heroes, and I'm just keeping everything real consistent, not pushing too hard, because my clippers do hit very hard, but I like to go in and I just like to establish dominance and just create that first line. And I repeat the same steps on this side of the head as well. Keep everything consistent. Don't ever push. Let the clippers do their own work. You use the weight of the clippers, and it's just easier to draw your lineups like that. So I go in at the front of the line, and I just slowly but surely nudge with my wall heroes. And as you guys can see, I'm creating a nice lining. I'm trying to make the lining as straight as possible, because my client doesn't have the ideal lineup, but at the same time he doesn't have a bad lining. And I think that's what made this video different, because at first he got a lighter spot right there in the front, so I kept it a little heavier in the front. in terms of how I did this lineup. So at first I kind of struggled with this lining because I went nudge by nudge opposed to approaching this lining like I do everybody else's, but it's just because of head shape and it's because of the ring light. It was hard trying to cut around the ring light. As you guys can see in this clip right here, it kind of went out of focus. It's hard to cut in the ring light by myself without, because when I look back, my Sony a6000 don't have the screen that flip around for me. So as you guys can see, I go into that C cup, and because I left that bulk there, you're gonna be able to see me develop the C cup. I just want y'all to understand, like, you can't get scared on that road, because that's a part of the game. As you guys can see right here where it was darker at, that helped me create my C cup. Because his C cups are so small, you want to keep it darker there. So we go in with the Beam Team cordless compressor, and we give ourselves about 4 to 5 inches of a spray radius. And what I like to do is I like to go in and nudge at the line. I don't like to just sit there and hold the button down. I like to like burst my color on. If anybody play Call of Duty with automatic weapons, or any game with automatic weapons shooting at a far distance, because of the recoil, it's gonna shake. So when you burst the automatic weapon on a video game from a far distance, it tends to shoot more consistent in terms of how accurate your shots are. So it's the same thing with a airbrush compressor. So I went in, I had used the Barber Magic Pencil, but I did not get the footage, and I thought I had the footage. So I basically outlined them with the Barber Magic Pencil, and then I go in with the straight razor to knock out the beard first. So always stretch the skin first, and then you want to go in with your razor and you just want to attack it. And I'm using the Tune 45 exposed cartridge because it helps me see what I'm working on. Then I go up and I clean up behind with my Wall Heroes, because I don't shave the face dry, but I establish that line dry. And as you guys can see, once you go back in, repetition is key. It builds that surgicalness. I'm telling y'all, this is like I don't know what video this is, but this is like my 40th something video in a row showing y'all that repetition is key. Look at this, come on. Bars. So we getting them together. We are keeping and using certain parts of the blade just to make the lining as crispy as possible. Using the edge, not digging too hard because it's an exposed blade, so you can do a lot of damage to the skin. So just take your time on haircuts like this, and just keep everything consistent. So after you hit the beard the first time, you always want to go back with your whisk, and you want to dust it off, and you want to just get right back to it. And I honestly feel like that's always been the best part about cutting these heads and cutting this hair. So look at the client, he checks it out himself. Sheesh. So right here is just how you do a simple 360 waveless cut. I just want to shout out to everybody that's in the comments. Shout out to everybody that's watching. This was a harder canvas because I have to do the C cups, but it is what it is. Y'all know what time it is. We don't complain. Hashtag TBT. It's the Beam Team. Let's get this money. Strap up. Let's